They found it. A parachute hidden in a grandmother's closet. The FBI took it. And if DNA tests match, the world's most legendary criminal just got unmasked after 54 years. This isn't a theory. This is real. Who was the mysterious man who hijacked a plane, jumped into a storm with $200,000, and vanished without a trace? For decades, the world called him D.B. Cooper. No body, no identity, just a myth. Until now. Because someone may have just cracked the case. Thanks to a dusty parachute, a secret family, and an ex-FBI lead that no one saw coming. Let's unravel the truth behind the last great American outlaw. Miss, you better look at that. I have a bomb. That's how it started. No warning, no yelling, just one sentence. Calm, terrifying, and delivered by a man who looked like any other middle-aged businessman on a Thanksgiving flight in 1971. He wore a black suit, clip-on tie, and dark sunglasses. He ordered a bourbon and soda, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. But behind that quiet charm was a man who would soon pull off one of the boldest, most humiliating crimes in American history. He handed the stewardess a note. She almost ignored it, thinking it was just his number. But then he whispered those 6 words, and the mood in the cabin flipped like a switch. He calmly opened his briefcase, revealing wires and red cylinders, enough to make anyone think, this guy is serious. His demands were simple: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a refueled plane waiting to take him south. The hijacker knew the exact model of the aircraft, a Boeing 727, the only commercial jet at the time with rear stairs he could open mid-flight. This wasn't a stunt. This was a military-grade operation disguised as a one-man job. And somehow, he got everything he asked for. The passengers were released. The money was delivered. The plane took off again. Then, as it flew low over the pitch-black forests near the Columbia River, he opened the rear staircase, walked into the night, and jumped. No body, no confirmed trace, no mistakes. The man vanished into thin air. And just like that, D.B. Cooper was born. A name that became a myth, a symbol, a punch in the face to federal law enforcement. For 54 years, he was untouchable. Until now. If you think the FBI always knew who he was, tap follow, because what you're about to hear changes everything. Let's get something straight. If someone hijacks a plane, jumps out with a bag full of cash and disappears, you expect the parachute to be gone too. Shredded, burned, lost forever in some mountain ravine. You don't expect to find it 50 years later in a storage unit on a random family's property next to their Christmas decorations, and yet that's exactly what happened. In 2023, aviation investigator Dan Grider stumbled onto something that no one in the FBI ever did. A military-grade parachute rig, heavily modified, exactly matching the type used in the 1971 hijacking. Same design, same rare adjustments, same survival setup. But here's the insane part. It wasn't found in a forest or some crime scene. It was discovered on land owned by the family of Richard McCoy Jr., a man who, get this, committed almost the exact same hijacking just 5 months after D.B. Cooper. The parachute was hidden among deeply personal items in McCoy's mother's storage unit, right beside his military memorabilia, a jump log book, and gear that only a trained paratrooper would use. This wasn't junk. It was preserved, protected, like someone knew exactly what it was worth, not in dollars, but in danger. And when Grider posted his findings online, without even alerting the FBI, they showed up anyway. Fast. They took the parachute and the logbook straight to Quantico and haven't returned it. That was over a year ago. Let that sink in. The FBI, which officially closed the Cooper case in 2016, suddenly came rushing back the moment this parachute surfaced. Because this wasn't just a piece of gear, this could be the smoking gun. The one physical object that finally connects Cooper to a name, a family, and a decades-long secret they thought would never surface. Now ask yourself, why was it there? Why did the family never turn it in? And why, after 54 years, is the FBI being so quiet? Something's happening behind the scenes. And whatever it is, it could blow the lid off one of the greatest unsolved crimes in American history. Let's talk about something no one wants to admit. When the FBI goes radio silent, something big is happening behind closed doors. In 2016, after decades of chasing shadows, the FBI finally gave up on the D.B. Cooper case. They shut it down, told the public, unless new physical evidence comes forward, this case is officially closed. Translation, we're done wasting resources on a ghost. But fast forward to 2023. Dan Grider posts a YouTube video, not a theory, not a rehash, but actual physical evidence, a parachute that shouldn't exist, a logbook with suspicious jump entries, and a direct connection to a man with a criminal past that mirrors Cooper's perfectly. He didn't alert them, he didn't call Quantico. He just uploaded a video. Within days, they called him, not a rookie agent, not a desk clerk, but federal agents with access to the case files, the labs, the chain of custody. And here's where it gets truly insane. They told Grider point blank, "We know what we're looking for." They took the parachute and logbook under one condition. If it didn't match what they had from the Cooper case, they'd return it in 7 days. That was over a year ago. They haven't said a word since. The FBI doesn't hold on to junk. They don't test irrelevant gear for 12 months. They don't stay silent unless they've found something. That parachute is now sitting in Quantico, likely being examined next to the clip-on tie Cooper left behind in 1971, which still contains trace amounts of degraded DNA. And Grider believes, based on inside whispers, they're now comparing that DNA with samples from the children of Richard McCoy Jr. If there's even a partial match, this goes from unsolved mystery to confirmed criminal identity, not based on opinion, but based on genetics. But that's not even the most chilling part. What scared Grider the most wasn't the DNA. It was how fast the FBI responded, how quickly they moved, and how completely they vanished back into the shadows. Because when a case that's been dead for 54 years suddenly reopens in silence, something big is about to surface. And it might be the scandal the FBI never wanted public in the first place. Now here's where things get deeply uncomfortable. Because the man at the center of this firestorm, the one whose family owned the parachute, whose logbook shows a sudden stop in jumps before the 1971 hijacking, wasn't just a name on a list. He was already famous. His name was Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. And 5 months after D.B. Cooper vanished into the night, McCoy pulled off the same exact crime. Let's break this down. April 7th, 1972, McCoy boards a Boeing 727. He demands $500,000, not $200K. He uses a fake hand grenade and pistol. He gets 4 parachutes. He jumps mid-flight over Utah, and he disappears. Sound familiar? Same type of plane, same parachuting setup, same calm demeanor, same vanish with the cash escape plan, only this time McCoy didn't get away forever. He was caught, tried, and sentenced to 45 years in prison. But this is where it goes from wild to absolutely unhinged. He escaped prison, not with outside help, but using a gun he made out of dental paste. He literally carved a weapon with dental tools, broke out, and vanished again, until he was tracked down and killed in a shootout with the FBI later that year. Now ask yourself this, who else would even know how to hijack a Boeing 727, force it to fly at low speed with rear stairs open, and survive a jump in a business suit at night? Who else would have military parachute training, combat experience, and the psychological calm to sit quietly on a flight, knowing he's about to vanish forever? Who else would attempt not 1 but 2 almost identical skyjackings, if the first time wasn't quite enough? Richard McCoy wasn't just similar to D.B. Cooper, he was D.B. Cooper 2.0. Or maybe, just maybe, he was D.B. Cooper all along. The FBI dismissed him back then. They said he had an alibi for the 1971 hijacking. He was reportedly with his family that Thanksgiving, but there was no hard proof, no phone records, no surveillance footage, no eyewitness confirmation. And now, with the parachute, the logbook, and the FBI quietly taking evidence, that alibi is looking more like a well-kept family cover-up. So if Richard McCoy was Cooper, here's what happened. He pulled off the greatest skyjacking in American history, got away with it, needed more money, did it again, and that second job cost him everything. 1 man, 2 jumps, and 50 years of lies. That's not just evidence, that's a confession. Send this to someone who still believes D.B. Cooper was a myth, and comment if you're starting to doubt the whole story. Here's where it gets forensic. The tie Cooper left behind in 1971 had traces of DNA. Partial, degraded, but still there. The FBI may now be comparing that with DNA from McCoy's children, triangulating for a match. If confirmed, this wouldn't be a theory anymore. It would be solved. The only unsolved hijacking in US history, closed, not with a hunch, but with science. When Grider dropped his videos, the internet exploded. Reddit went wild. News outlets picked it up. YouTube's algorithm pushed it into the stratosphere. The idea that Cooper wasn't a mystery man, but a twice-proven criminal hiding in plain sight, shook the myth to its core. Suddenly, the Robin Hood outlaw had a name, a face, and a dark past. The FBI still hasn't returned the parachute. They haven't denied the DNA testing. And Grider, he says he's not stopping until the Bureau speaks publicly, because if the DNA confirms what the logbook and parachute already scream, then D.B. Cooper has a name, and it's Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. After 54 years, the greatest mystery in American criminal history might finally be over. What do you think? Is this finally the truth about D.B. Cooper, or is there still one last twist waiting to drop? Let us know in the comments. And if you're into legendary mysteries getting solved, subscribe because we're just getting started.